Good morning. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Olga. I'm working in IDSA and Senior IT Project Manager. Basically, my experience is software development and customization, and mainly research, because I have a background as the teacher of political science and philosophy. But for the last 20 years, I've been working in IT. It happens so with the students. Mainly in IDSA, I'm responsible for the health projects on the Horizon Europe program. And here on this slide, you can see several of them. This is the VELES project and recently started dataPACT project. And here you can find the logo of IDSA, so you can easily recognize the organization. IDSA is non-profit organization. I added several slides that you might found would be interesting of the project. So IDSA, here you can see my credentials and the links for the website of the projects. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me on the LinkedIn. It's easy to collaborate and much faster than via email. So a few words about IDSA. IDSA is a non-profit organization. It was established in 2016. It has more than 180 members right now. So basically it's a non-profit organization which is developing reference architecture model. Currently it's the version 5. Providing compliance politic by design for implementing data spaces, making research, and highly involved in many different projects such as I said, VELES, dataPACT, within the mobility, within the agriculture, within the energy domain, and so on and so forth. We have also hubs, we have competence centers, we have research labs which help us basically to build data spaces together in different regions, in different countries, in different domains. The main subject of IDSA is not only reference architecture models, so we are teaching and consulting how to implement data spaces. We're implementing different use cases, as I mentioned, in different domains, and we are collaborating within the working groups. Yeah. So if you're interested in the way of helping IDSA to build data space future together, like join the ecosystem of the data sharing, then you are always welcome. We have different membership for research institutes, for different types of organizations. So what you are doing as the future member, for example, you are helping us to build the reference architecture model. You are helping us to implement different components of data spaces I will mention later. And you have access, of course, for ecosystem, for our big community. We are presented more than 180 different companies and top members of different organizations. What is our vision? As I mentioned before, this is the old slide. We have more members right now. So it was just a few weeks ago, it was 170. Our vision is basically to give access to every person to control and share their data, to make decision with whom this person, this individual want to share this data and how long this data would be sharing, within which rules and conditions, and when this process should be stopped and data should be secured in the place where it is right now. So basically it says that mainly we are working with the federated catalogs, the data staying where it is. Yeah. But a part of this, we have different implementations where the data also consolidated in one place. As you can see, there are different logos of different organizations. Maybe mostly they are our members. You can see big organizations. You can identify them also on the German market. For example, Rewe, Siemens, TNO. This is organization who is implementing data spaces in the Netherlands, from NOFA Institute. Microsoft and Soveti and so on and so far. We have many different members. Every member has different perspective. Some of them are highly implementing business use cases. Some of them more orientated on the technical use cases or research or the governance framework. So what we bring on the table, basically, this is on this slide you can see the main assets of IDSA. This is reference architecture version 5. It was recently announced. Now it's almost done. It would be published soon. This is the data space protocol, which basically helping to control and share the data and certification. So, and IDSA rulebook, and we have open source repository. So the knowledge database which provides by IDSA is accessible on GitHub. So if you are interested how to implement data spaces, how to implement minimum viable product, how to implement connectors or different components of the data space, you can just simply open the website and read this information on GitHub. It's accessible for everyone. So what is the data space on this picture? This is very famous picture of IDSA. You can see the data space. The data space is the space where we sharing and consuming the data within the secure way, within the interaction of different participants. We have the data user. Sometimes data user is the same role as the data provider. Sometimes it's two different organizations. We have data consumer. We have connectors. Connector, it's the piece of code which basically helps data provider and data consumer share and consume the data in this space. We have broker, we have clearinghouse, app store, identity provider, vocabulary, and many different components that basically helps to share and consume the data within one secure space within the contracting using the apps, for example. So what is the connector? Connector is the piece of code, as I said, basically, which helps to share and consume the data. What IDSA basically supports within the reference architecture model version 5. IDSA provides certification within the third party. So when you share and consume the data, you can be sure that you are doing this in a secure way. There is not leaking of the data somewhere else, and you can have control over your data in any different conditions. This slide, if you're interested, you can basically scan the QR code and you will find out more information regarding to IDSA, how to become the member. We can have internal meeting for onboarding. We have Q&A sessions every week, which you can join. It's free, you don't have to pay. So basically, that's all about IDSA. And now we slightly move to the projects. I will try to do it very fast, so then we don't grab the externals time and leave something for the questions. The main project, which started in 2023, has the name VELES. The company which are leading this project located in the Bulgaria, in the Sofia. It's the Gate Institute, which partially presented with the Bulgarian government and with the Sofia University, you might know there. This project was started, as I mentioned, 2023. It's 2027, so it's under Horizon Europe project. The main goal of this project to build regional smart health data space, and in the future to build to become the part of European health data space. You might know the European Union just 1 month ago basically adopted the law, and right now everyone is trying to implement some pieces of European health data space or change their regulation on the nation regional level. So this project is one of them. It represents Greece, Romania, Cyprus, and Bulgaria. And in those 4 regions, we are helping to build the regional smart health data space. This project is not about building the code or developing the data spaces. It's about research. So we make a big research within those countries and 15 different organizations. What are the gaps of the law on the ethical, governance level or legal level, and how we can reach those gaps. Then in the future, we will implement the data spaces that the health digitalization sector would respond to European Union legislation in the future, and those countries, Cyprus, Greece, Romania, and Bulgaria, could easily join the European health data space. So, role of IDSA in this organization, we are building the framework which helps those countries and those 15 different partners. In the end, they are represented in 7 different countries to implement this data space. So the GATE Institute itself, which is the project management lead of this VELES project, it's Excellence Hub. So Excellence Hub, which implements and make research on different domains, on different sectors, and it also provides a reference architecture model of IDSA. That's why we are in the collaboration with them. What is about the consortium? Yeah, what is the project itself? For example, if you're not familiar with European Union program, European Union Horizon program. It's one of the programs provided by European Commission. Yeah, a European Commission has the platform where all those programs and projects within of them are published. So if you are, for example, making research on one of the fields and you are searching for some secondary use data for your research, I would highly recommend you to open this platform to find some projects within the domain you are working in. Contact the project manager or research manager and try to help them to build the project or participate in their events, because each of those projects have knowledge sharing events for dissemination, and it would really, really help you as the student or as the researcher to get access to the data, which is the most complicated basically when you make research about it. So the VELES consortium is the policymakers, it's industry, it's the citizens, and it's academia. So as you can see, we have different stakeholders in this project, and each of them, each company is responsible for their own work package. Within the work package, we have different tasks, and we are contributing via agile methodology on the project for the next 4 years. So basically, since it started in 2023, it would be finished in 2027. So each member of organization is responsible for some tasks, for deliverables, or for the work packages. So it's easy to understand for the project managers. What is about this project? This project is as I mentioned before, it's a health data space project. We are building the framework, regional framework in these countries. As you can see, each of those countries are represented in the project within the pilots. Yeah. So the pilots, let's say the use cases they are making research about. Yeah, for example, Bulgaria, represented by GATE Institute or BOBG, and they are making research about Alzheimer. Cyprus, within the science is the name of organization. They are making research about dementia. Greece about the cancer, different types of the cancer. Romania basically concentrated on the cerebral tumors. Yeah. So it's quite interesting because, as I mentioned on the previous slide, there are policymakers and the end users. So basically, in this project, presented lots of hospitals and universities who have access to the not only for the secondary use data or also for the primary use data, which basically means they have access to the patient's data and they know what exactly the problems patients have, and they are trying to find out the way how to treat them in the best way. So the main objectives of this project basically is about building the architecture and the technologies provided by data space IDSA. Yeah, that's why we are building the data space framework, especially for this health domain. We are making research about the legal, ethical, business, and governance within the Germany, within the Sweden, within the UK help, also in the Greece, Cyprus, Romania, and Bulgaria. So we are sharing the knowledge within those countries. and we are building together the ecosystem. Yeah, I would say from my experience, the Cyprus has the most mature digital health system right now, because mainly the whole health system is digitalized in the Cyprus. Many years ago, the government who is involved in those projects are highly motivated, and they made lots of investments in their health domain. That's why if you go to Cyprus, you can see it as the patient by itself. So the pilot goals basically demonstration, planning, combination of different areas of data. We are talking about here not only about the data of the patients, we are talking also about the metadata, yeah, which is used for the secondary for the research, basically secondary use data. Yeah, so we are making research about smart objectives, marketplace data, which is on the market for the different types of organization presented in the health domain. We are making research about the cloud platforms, because this is sensitive data, patients data. Different organizations have access to this data. The data is not consolidated in one space, which means the data stay as it is, and someone in the data space has to access point to this data, but data stay as it is. This is the research about individuals and open data sources, of course, because as you might know, every country has some patients' data as the open source. Yeah, so this is the fact. So who are our stakeholders? As I mentioned before, is the policymakers, is the government, it's academia, it's the researchers, it's the media. From one side, it's the policymakers, and from another side, it's the patients, hospitals, and private clinics. Yeah, presented in this project. It is the stakeholders of the project. What challenges we have in those countries, as you see, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Greece, Romania, within the help of Sweden, UK, Germany, we are helping them to build the framework, make the research in the health care digitalization. So basically, the main challenges, of course, it's the guidance. Let's say not every end user, such as hospital, clinician, nurse, patient, they don't know what is the data space. Of course, they don't want to share their data because they don't understand how to have access of this data. uh, a part of this, when you are building the data space, it's interoperability, it's the medical devices, it's the uh, cross data space interoperability, it's interoperability within the regional and international level, interoperability of different sources of the data, such as where the data is consolidated, data sets. This is, of course, the policies, because every region, every country has different national system, and they are adopting the European law on the different level, of course, and implementing one framework within those countries. It's the big challenge. Of course, in this perspective, in this direction, they need the guidance, and that's why we are trying to systematize this knowledge and create the framework which will guide those countries in the future to be interoperable, to join the European health data space, to build their own regional data spaces, to follow the European Union regulation, where the national body would have control, would be the main point over the data on the international level, and of course, to make some innovation research and to make the health domain digitalized as possible. So if you are not familiar with the European health data space, I'm mentioning quite often one of the projects which was recently implemented within this European health data space. It's e-prescriptions. Yeah, so if you, for example, go to the doctor and the doctor give you some prescription for the medical treatment, you might have this prescription already digitalized on your plastic insurance card, and there is no paperwork. Yeah, so this is one of the examples. Yeah, but the main idea of the European health data space for the end user, as the patient, for example, you are the European Union citizen which has the German nationality, for example, and you are traveling to Italy or to Spain, and on the way to these countries, you, for example, get sick, and you make the decision to visit the doctor in Italy. And when you come to the doctor, the main idea that the Italian doctor has the access on your health history. Yeah, so he has access of the treatment, of the medicine you are taking, of your restrictions, allergies, and so on and so forth. So this is the main purpose of European health data space. So the data would be accessible in different points on the national and international level, a part of the different implementations such as e-prescription, for example. So the opportunities for this project, of course, it's digitalization, of course, it's interoperability, of course, a part of the regional smart health data space. We are building the governance framework, so we see the gaps in those countries and we give recommendations how to improve the legislation and the governance framework on the national, regional level in those countries. And basically, we are engaging the stakeholders. Yeah, those projects and participation in those projects is the knowledge sharing between institutions, between organizations, and of course, this is the agreements, this is the Excellence Hub, and this is new implementations. This is the vision of the VELES project I already mentioned. We are trying to build sustainable place-based innovation ecosystem in those regions. This is the example of the architecture over this project itself, where in the center is the VELES Excellence Hub and stakeholders around. A part of this you can see near each sector of the stakeholder we have different contributions, and from the right side you see the framework. Yeah, so what is the main vision, what is the design of the project, what are deliverables of the project. That I mentioned before, it's agile methodology used on this project. In the center you can see the regional smart health data space framework. You can see the frameworks provided and developed by IDSA. So in this project, they adapting such assets of IDSA like broker, reference architecture model, app store, and connector. I would say this project Lead Gate Institute, they are building their own connector based on IDSA framework. And of course, it's the policy and pilots in the center. Yeah, in this picture, in this model, you can see the pilots separately, but the pilots is the core of the project. What is the pathways towards the health data spaces? I would say the health data space and European health data space is the most popular project, the most popular topic on the last years. And if you're working in this domain, if this sector and making research, this is the carte blanche for you, because there are lots of to investigate, lots of improve, and lots of new information, new institutions who you can potentially collaborate with. For the VELES particularly, this project is the technical infrastructure, is the data readiness. I would say the data readiness in the health sector is the one of the biggest challenges, because the data has, first of all, it's consolidated in different data sets. It's really complicated to have access over the data. Uh, for some minimum viable product on the project, of course, you can use the synthetic data, but it's not the case if you're represented within the pilots that I mentioned before, for example, on the cancer treatment or cerebral tumors, because within, for example, cerebral tumors, the Romania represent this pilot, they are analyzing the X-rays of the patients, And to have the access and high quality of this data is one of the biggest challenge, of course. Yeah, and to be able to analyze and work with this data, of course, it's also very difficult. Governance. So the clear governance structure and the policies on the national level is the one of the biggest challenge, of course. It's not even the question. I would say if you live in different countries, you as the end user, as the patient, you know more about it. But in those countries like Cyprus, Greece, Romania, and Bulgaria, it's the different topic because, for example, in the Greece, the health system is I would say partially it's presented by government and partially it's the private institutions or the cabinets of the doctors. So the patient might visit different institutions for the to get the medical treatment, which basically means that his data or her data stays in the data sets which are the ownership of those institutions and have the overall access of the data of this particular patient. It's almost impossible. Yeah. um, Human resources, this is another challenge and pathways towards the health data space, because it's not only about building the framework and governance framework and health data space framework. It's also about the knowledge sharing, it's the guidance, it's the coaching, it's the training of the human resources, of the nurses, of the doctors, to patients, of course, to understand them what is this data sharing, why they need it, and how to get access over their own data. um, and legal and regulatory. So legal and regulatory, it's the governance framework. I will not stop on it again. So I would say this is more or less about the VELES project itself. We are happy to look to collaborate always. So if you have the interest about the VELES project or some, let's say, secondary use data, which is research data, you would like to visit some webinars, conferences, events organized by the project, so don't hesitate to contact me, Olga Galanets, on the LinkedIn. You will always find me. I would be happy to engage you within the project coordinator. So I will share my slides later. It was a bit updated within the knowledge of the IDSA. So here you can see the outcomes of the project itself. So here you can see the big research about the national regulation in those countries and the ecosystem. Um, it would be really, really helpful for you if you make research in this topic. Then we slightly move to the dataPACT. dataPACT is the second project which I'm involved as the project manager from IDSA side. It's recently started. It's led by organization which stays in the Norway. And it has 7 different use cases, not only in the healthcare domain, in different domains. But I'm mainly present today the healthcare. So what is it about? This project has 19 different partners. Yeah, and those 19 different partners, organization, they created the consortium. They applied to the European Union within the proposal. The European Union, European Commission accepted their proposal. They signed up the grant agreement and they started working collaboratively on this project. Yeah, so this project is not only about Germany, of course, it's about Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Denmark, Greece, Italy, Malta, and different countries. You can see there are 15 different countries in the different domains as the public organization, as the government, as the SMEs, as the different research institutions. What we are making research here, we are building also the framework but this is artificial intelligence compliant framework and the toolbox. The toolbox will include the set of the tools which would help to solve some of the tasks in this project for some particular use cases or pilots. I will speak about later about healthcare, but we also have the media, we have customer relationship, manufacturers, smart cities, security, we have public data, which is presented by Norway itself. It's the one of the communities there making research about their data. So here a little bit more about introduction to the dataPACT. The mission basically embedding the compliance, ethics, and sustainability into the data and IEPA plans. Yeah, so we are making research within the IEPA plans. We are building the tools, the toolbox, the framework, and compliance-aware data pipeline toolbox. Yeah, so which responds to IE Act first and GDPR, of course. Yeah. So as the toolbox, as that's would be the code which is built. So for the project manager, it's understandable. So we are building the technical solution within the infrastructure, within the governance framework itself, where you can share and consume the data based on the pilots, use cases, needs, their requirements, and of course to be able to be compliant by design. The main philosophy of this project, to be compliant by design. Yeah, so which means compliance by design since beginning till the end of the project. Yeah. The toolbox, as I mentioned, is the set of the tools. There are different tools presented by different stakeholders, members of this project, members of consortium, and each of those tools are supposed to, in the end, reach the market level readiness. I believe in this project, this would be at least TRL 6, but for the market readiness at TRL 8 for adoption. So this is it is. Yeah. If you have any questions, let's discuss it in the end. I would be happy to answer. Back to the healthcare use cases. The healthcare use case and the dataPACT presented by a Greek organization and the Greek institution. The name of this organization and the tool they provide has the name CAREPATH. The main goal enables secure and compliant health data processing while they are providing the patient treatment in the stationary where the patient stays in the hospital. So until the patient stays in the hospital, they build their own infrastructure there for the patients. They collect the primary use data of the patients in this period of time, and they're trying to improve the outcomes to help patients to recover fastly before the patient would be transported to the home care. So this is the main use case of the healthcare here. They have this special tool, and this tool collecting, consuming, analyzing, visualizing the data of the patients collected in this particular place they are building. And then it helps them to make the research and to improve the patient's treatment and care. As you can see, one of the objectives, of course, this is the ethical object as the artificial intelligence. So they want to be sure that all the data collected, visualized, and analyzed of the patient's response to GDPR. And it's interoperability, because interoperability, so this one of the main documents that we are analyzing right now. This is the documents of the medical devices. So they want to be sure that their devices that use they respond to the European Union regulation, and within the ethical and legal perspective, they are not breaking any rules over the patient's data. collecting or giving access to the patient's data. So, what is this healthcare use case itself? This is the hospital, the infrastructure they built within the hospital where the patient stays for a while. This is recruitment, yeah. Then they are making the treatment. They are collecting the data of the patients via different devices they provide itself on the place. Then they gather this data within the different data sets. They collect the data and they analyze the data, they visualize the data, and they make follow-ups in the end. Yeah. So this, in the center of this use case, healthcare use case, is the patient. Yeah. Here you can see example of the infrastructure they are building to treat the patients after some period of time. For a while it stayed there. So this is the living hospice. Let's say it's kind of hotel where patient get the medical treatment, and where especially teached nurses and clinicians provide the support, collect and analyze this data to provide in the end the outcomes to the patient. As you can see in this particular use case, there are different type of stakeholders presented. Yeah, so this is the research institution within the hospital. So they are collaborating over this use case to improve the treatment of the patients. This how it works in the end. So this is the data set description visualized on the slide. So they have some prompts, some sets for collecting the data. Within the time frame, they basically transfer the data from one point to another. They provide some medical treatments, such as let's say first they collect the data of the patients, the weight, the blood results, the temperature. They use it in this time frame. They are providing in the process some treatment, and they collect this data again. Then they analyze which treatment basically increase or decrease the state of the patient, and then they make recommendations which medication is better for the patient and how his stability and the feeling is changed in the process, and provide the recommendations when the patient would go back home on the home care set, how he's supposed to be treated. So this is the main data set visualized description. So within the time frame, yeah. So in this basically use case is the limited time frame for each. It's not only about collecting the data, analyzing, visualizing. It's also the big research on the European health legislation. So of course they want to have the follow up to the European regulation to be compliant with the different health data spaces, and to one of the day to become the part of the European health data space. But of course they understand that without following the medical device regulation, IE Act, data security, GDPR governance, data act, it's impossible. Yeah, so that's why almost every project I'm involved in, starting within the research on the legal framework, yeah, governance and the legal framework. And this is not the exception. So the regulatory compliance is the one of the building blocks of this project. Yeah, so a part of this, you also could see it on the VELES ethical perspective in takes another building block in this project, because this is about patient data, is the sensitive data. It's about anonymization of this data, because for the secondary use mainly. Yeah? And of course this is sustainability. Yes, so optimizing source intensive healthcare health data processing systems following the medical device regulation. This is the building block number 3 and the one of the core sets in this project itself. Yeah. So what is the end? Solutions and benefits, which those two stakeholders presented within the hospital and research institution in Greece want to take from this project within the healthcare pilot. Yeah. So what they want to be compliant by design since the beginning. They want to improve the pipeline tools. They want to improve the tools. And each tool you cannot understand right now via name, but basically each tool is responsible for some let's say requirements of the healthcare outcomes, and they want to improve those tools on the level at least TRL 6. Yeah. So which basically means on the last year of the project, as the year 4, they want to have those tools to be ready within the special developed business model and to be adopted by different institutions. Yeah, so they want to have this healthcare pilot outcomes and the tool readiness on the level. Then in the end of the project, some other project organization will adopt their outcomes and implement, of course. This is the main goal of mainly all European projects. What is this about? The real-time data framework. They want to collect the data, analyze the data within the time frame, as I said before, and this time frame is limited. So we have the start date, we have the end date, and this time frame is limited for each patient. The benefits for the use case owner itself as the stakeholder of the project is the faster compliance following the regulations. So they want to be sure that the framework and the toolbox they are building with the set of the tools are compliant by design. It's AI-driven healthcare solutions that help them analyze and visualize the data of the patients, and this is the ecosystem. This is an sustainable environment operations for the healthcare. The pipelines itself. So the tools that they are using on this project as the pipeline air, asset, air, trust, air, and policy. As I said before, each one of these tools are responding to some requirements of the legal governance framework, ethical framework, policy regulation, and artificial intelligence, of course, because they want to be compliant with the AI Act. What is the stakeholder impact? As the project manager, you might know that every project has the stakeholders, yeah? And those stakeholders, basically, they provide requirements, and together with them, you create the acceptance criteria on the project, and they accept the project and say, yes, we reached the goal which we wanted or no, we have some improvements or change request or so on and so forth. Yeah, so as you understand, this project also about the agile. We have different types of stakeholders. This is the hospitals and clinics. This is the patients and researchers. So the patients itself also treated here as the stakeholder, yeah, because they are owners of their data. And hospitals and clinics, research institutions, each of them supposed to have some impact, reach some goals within this project. For example, they want to decrease the time for sharing, collecting, or analyzing and sharing the data within 25%. Yeah, this is the KPIs of this project. They want to become more cost effective. even despite the fact they are going to implement some AI models which would be customized for their needs on the project. They want to that different projects and hospitals in the future will adopt their tool, this CAREPATH tool, providing this the stakeholder, and of course they want to be compliant with the AI regulation. Yeah, they want to have market-ready solution that would be adopted by different organizations in the end of the project. Yeah, and to respond the market needs in the health sector. On the other side, we have the stakeholder as the patient, because the patient is the owner of the data. Of course, the main impact of the patient in this project is to follow up with the GDPR, with the ethical and governance perspective, and of course to avoid any possible risks which would be created via project within the sharing or consuming the sensitive data of the patients. And the last but not least stakeholder type or group is the researchers. Yeah, the researchers, they are highly motivated within those projects because they have access for the patient's data and they can make research over different topics using this data. Of course, it's in this project is development of different IE models, and within the KPIs, I would say this is 85% agreement of different algorithms. That's what they want to access. They want their tools they are planning to develop within the toolbox would have at least 85% of agreements of their algorithms, yeah, with the actual discharge date. What else here? I believe this is the last slide almost. The future direction of this project, they want to be expanded. They want to be compliant, as I said. They want to be responsive to the market needs, and of course, they're expecting for adoption. Yeah, adoption. As you might know, some outcomes of the projects. Some of them are open source and some of them commercialized. Yeah, so not everything could be adapted within the market after the project end. Yeah, because some of the tools could be has the private access, has the private owner, and sometimes they just sell the licenses. Yeah, but a part of this, they want to provide the market ready solution that it would be adopted. Yeah, 85%, and at least TRL 6 level. And collaboration, knowledge sharing. This is the future direction of this project. This project also provides lots of different programs for the knowledge sharing. This project is started January 2025. But within the plan, we have webinars, we have conferences, we have we are planning to provide different knowledge manuals for the patients and in different, let's say, for the different stakeholders. Personally, I'm leading the work package of the impact maximization on the project, which basically means within this work package, we need to reach the goals of the transparency of the project and, of course, knowledge sharing, stakeholder engagement, and to be responsive for the market needs, business models development for the future adoption. As the project manager who works on European Union projects, you are basically leading different tasks and work packages within your background. Yeah, so every project manager has different background. So my background is the governance, it's the politics, is the marketing management, and it's IT, software development, it's the research. So as you can see, I have overview about many issues and tasks within the different projects. It's those two projects are in the health sector, but I can also speak about different projects and the different domains and sectors such as energy, for example, or media, or legal use cases represented within the different pilots. So, closing the acknowledgement of this dataPACT project, I would say that the dataPACT transforms the healthcare by embedding the compliance, ethics, and sustainability. That's the plan. We make the big research about legislation of the European Union. We are building the consortium, which would include also the members of European Union Commission and the national and also the stakeholders of the national level. Yes, so the members of the governments in different countries to force on the governance framework and the legal framework to be fastly adopted and compliant. That's why the main mission of this project to be compliant by design. I believe this is the question slide. You might have the questions to me. I don't know if it makes sense to stop on those questions or we have time for the Q&A session. So please let me know if there are any questions from your side.